Right then, in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to separate your beauty pass from your shadow pass by using render layers. So I'm going to start with a very simple scene. I'm going to create a ground plane, just like so, and then I'm going to create some sort of cylinder. Obviously you can have whatever model you're using, if you're in a car or whatever, or logo, something like that, and it can be animated as well, no problem. So what I'm going to do is now add a light. I'm just going to go with an area light for now. Just go like that. Let's rotate it like so and point it down a little bit. And then I'm going to move it back and move it up. Let's just make sure it's positioned okay. Alright, so I need to start giving this a texture and this a texture. So for the cylinder, I'm going to assign new material, and I'm going to go to the mental ray materials, Mia material X. So if you come into Mia material X, you've got these presets, and you just need to you can pick any one for this. Obviously, again, in your model, you'll have it textured. I'm just going to go matte finish in the place and give it some sort of green texture, like so. Now for this background, this ground plane, I want to assign new material, and I want to use something that's called use background. So just type in use there. I'm going to apply that. Now what this does is it captures any specular or any reflectivity and shadows. Now we're not concerned about reflectivity, we're not concerned about specular, we're just concerned about shadow mask. So I'm going to leave that as it is. Finally, I want to light this cylinder with image-based lighting. So let's select cylinder, and you want to go to Indirect Lighting and just create an image-based lighting and navigate to what you want to use. And mine is Spray Park HDR. Okay, and also turn on global illumination and final gathering. So I'm going to give this one a, sorry, excuse that from earlier. I'm going to give this one a render, and we can see what we've got. It may take a little bit of time. But there you go. Now we can see what we've got is a cylinder, obviously, and then we've got a sort of grainy shadow on the ground. But remember, we want that shadow in a completely separate pass, a completely separate image by the end. Okay, so let's hit minimize. So if we come over to look at the channel box, which is by the attribute editor, if you can't see it, it's this one by here. We've got this render tab, and right now we've got something called master layer, and we want to have another one called shadows. So I'm going to select everything that's concerned with my shadows, so that's the cylinder, the ground plane, and the area light, and I'm going to go layers, create layer from selected, and I'm just going to call this shadows. Now what you can see is it's made this master layer not renderable. You can see the icon has got a little yellow cross by there, so I'm just going to click that off to start with. But I'll come back into my shadows, and we'll have a look at what we've got going on so far. So let's give this a render, but first I'm going to change the render settings to HD 1080 so we can get a full size image. So this is what we had before. Let's save that, and this is what we're getting inside the shadow render layer. So we've still got this background, and we've got this cylinder, sorry, and we've got the shadow. So we're going to be having a look at, just keeping the shadow. Now if I've hit escape, to stop rendering, I'm going to have a look at the alpha. So you can see we've got this shadow in the alpha, we've also got this and some of this final gathering. So first of all, let's have a look at stopping that from happening. So I'm going to click this use background, go to my attribute editor, and let's look at the so we've got use background. Now if we go to the plane shape, we want it to receive shadows, which is what we've got. That's good. Now let's go and have a look at the mental ray settings, so pop them out like so. Now we don't want final gather receive ticked, because first of all that's going to receive the final gather information, so untick that. Now next what we can do is select the cylinder, and let's get a cylinder shape. We basically want this to, the primary visibility to be off, so we don't actually see it in the render. And cast shadows on, receive shadows can stay on. And now let's give this a render and see where we're currently at. Just save this version and render the current frame. So what we've got is, once it sort of buffers in, is we've got a render of just the shadow, which is really good. I'll pause this and let you know when it's done, so I'll restart when it's done. Okay, so we've got this shadow over here. We're going to increase the quality of it as well, but if we turn our RGB on, you can still see we've got this background HDR. Now the way we turn that off is to ensure that we go to the render settings, indirect lighting, and let's bring that. So we don't want the primary visibility, okay, we can click that off. So if we were to do another quick re-render like so, save that and re-render, you'll be able to start to see that it doesn't bring that in, and it starts actually rendering sort of black image, because obviously all we're left with now is not that kind of background. We're just left with the shadow, which is black, and then black on a black background ain't going to show up. And then we'll also have a look in the alpha channel to show that we've still got that shadow data there in at least one of the channels. So let's have a look. Yep, there's the shadow data. And to very quickly make it a bit softer, I'm going to come into the light settings, up the sample shadow rays and depth limits. Cool, and that's going to make them sharper. Softer. So what we want to do is come back into the channel box, and let's go to master layer. So we've got the, if we come into the alpha, we've got the shadow layer working as we want. And now let's save that and have a look at the master layer, and let's see what's going on in here. Okay, so we've got the HDRI sort of lighting the cylinder as we want, which is good. We've also got a shadow in here, which we want to get rid of because we've got the shadow separately. And yeah, we also want to get rid of the background, but we still want it to light the cylinder. So I'm going to hit escape, like so, just so it stops rendering. Now, what I want to do is select this background, and we want to go to Attribute Editor, Primary Visibility, turn that off. So that's going to take care of that. And what we also want to do is go to the cylinder and turn off Cast Shadows. So let's bring this up again, and let's have a look at what we've got. So let's save it and give it a re-render. Okay, so what we've got is it's still being lit by the HDR image, and let's have a look when it's done at the alpha. Okay, so we've got our alpha here, which is good, and we've got our color here, which is also good. So we're good to go with this layer. I just want to quickly pop back into the shadows to see if this is good to go as well. So again, save this image, give this another render. Because the amount of times I've set up my render layers and then I've clicked a button in another render layer and it's kind of not working in another one, that happens a lot. Just with me, maybe it is me, but I don't know. We'll let this render in, then we'll have a look at the alpha channel and see if our shadow data is in there, which it isn't. So let's go and have a look why. So let's go to, first of all, Attribute Editor, Receive Shadows is on, Final Gas Receive. Let's have a look. It's going to be this, I think. Yeah, Cast Shadows. So let's turn that on, because we turned it off in the other one, and when it's orange it means override. So let's have a look now. So let's give it another re-render. I knew something would happen. So we've got the shadow data in here, and we can always push the ray depth up to increase that. So let's hit escape, because we know that data's in there, but I don't want to carry on rendering it. And now I'm going to go check the other one just to make sure that we're all good, and I'm pretty sure we will be. So let's save this and give it a render. So I think it's going to render in, yeah, the alpha channel. So it's got no shadow, which is good news. And let's wait till it finishes rendering, which won't be long at all. Come on, hurry up. But yeah, as soon as you kind of override one of the options, or the visibility options in another one, it kind of can alter the other ones. So I also want to check the RGB, and that's good. We are good to go. So what we want to do is batch render both of these out. So if I go to my render settings, come into the common tab, make sure your project is set. So render using mental ray is what we want. Let's have a look at the top. Now remember to click apply output transform to renderer, otherwise it's the color management won't work and it's going to be very dark. I want to change my image format. Yours may not be set to EXR, but I just want to make sure set to TIFF. Let's give this a name, cylinder, like so. And you can change this if I'm just rendering a single frame for this, but if you've got an animation, name underscore hashtag, which will be the number, and then dot extension. Okay, perspective, alpha channel mask is clicked. You would render this from a camera normally, but just for the sake of this tutorial I'm not. The width and height is good. Okay, so I think we're all good to do a batch render. So again, mine's saving to C users jparker or jpar, documents, Maya, projects, render layers, images. Okay, and it's going to render both render layers. So let's go to render and then batch render. Click continue. I'll pause this and then you'll join me when both render layers are rendered. So I'll catch you in a sec. Okay, awesome. Now if it's finished rendering, so if I go to where I've saved them, which is render layers, images, you can see we've got shadows, and here's the shadow. It's just showing us the alpha, and master layer, which is our cylinder. So that's good. I'm going to wrap it up there, and the next video is going to show you camera projection in After Effects, where we project our matte painting from last week on 3D layers, and we're also going to composite in our cylinder with render pass. So join me in the next one.